at it, even when I was in school, my last year in school, they were recruiting very heavily. And, now if you graduate with bad credit, your chances for gainful employment are very low. And so even though your parents spend their life savings or they instill in you to work hard and get a good education, if you graduate with bad credit, you have just destroyed that education because it's going to be very difficult for you to get gainful employment. I know I was doing a workshop, a year ago, and a young lady was crying in my workshop, and so I pulled her outside to find out what was going on, and she said that she felt very bad because her and her son had stopped talking because, she would get very mad at him because he was working at the airport, and her husband had spent their life savings putting him through business school. So they were very upset, and they thought that maybe he was lazy or he just was irresponsible. But he was telling them that he was having trouble getting a job, but he graduated at the top of his class. So they couldn't comprehend of him not being able to get gainful employment. But when she thought about it, he had terrible, terrible credit. And then it just made sense to her that the reason he was having trouble finding employment was not his education, but the fact that he graduated with bad credit.
Exactly, and it's a serious problem that people are unaware of, as unless you're going through this situation yourself. And it's something that seems to me that just goes under the radar. It's not one of the big credit issues that people have at the forefront of their minds, like say a foreclosure or a bankruptcy type of issue.
Right.
So,
but this is equally as problematic. And my whole issue with the whole inviting the credit card companies on campus issue or strategy, I don't mind that because you can take this, and I was very fortunate, even though I went to one of the wealthiest high schools in country, my parents were very poor, and my mom died when I was very young. So, but even when she was alive, she was a single parent. My mom was on welfare. So we had zero access to capital. So, once I was able to get those credit cards, I was extremely happy. And I was very fortunate in that I understood very early in my life that credit was king. I knew my parents or my mom couldn't, give me any monies or access to capital. So if I was going to have it, I was going to do it through the credit system. And I used those cards correctly. I ended up buying a car when I was in college, and I graduated with very excellent credit because I just was able to get a lot of credit during my college years. But for the average person, again, they weren't fortunate enough to be directed in the right direction and really maybe didn't have a good functional understanding of the credit system. And I fault the colleges for that because the colleges will not teach credit. If you look at, I've yet to find a single college anywhere in the country that teaches a FICO-based credit course. Have you seen any? Have you heard of any?
Never. None to
I've
my
never. And I'm 50 years old, and I look every year just to see when this trend is going to be reversed. But, I haven't seen it. Now, very early in my career, my agent, when I retired from the credit industry in 2000, I wrote a book on the FICO system. It was the first book of its kind. It was part of a course that I developed that I was going to introduce in the primarily the minority colleges, the historically black colleges. So my agent had set a meeting with all of the presidents of those colleges, and they had actually agreed to teach my course, which I was very excited about. But that fall semester, we were going to go into the first colleges. Do you realize this? They got a call, and I'm not going to say which bank called them, but a very large bank called each president individually and told them that if they institute my course, that they would pull their ATMs and their funding immediately. Can you imagine? That's
So
how
they would
serious it is.
retaliate
People
against
don't
the
understand.
against the universities for having your book on campus.
They didn't want the book or the class.
Wow.
They were very serious about it, to the extent that they would pull funding and take their ATMs out. So I'm sure they didn't care as much about the ATMs, but they did care about the funding because this is a very large lending institution.
Absolutely, and they get royalty fees from having the ATMs on campus.
You understand.
As
But
well.
can you imagine? That's why there's no good courses. You might think that, maybe they forgot about credit, but keep this in mind. You can take bowling in college. You can take cooking, swimming lessons. But you can't, the single most important factor to determining your entire financial prosperity, which is credit, you can't take a course in that.
And this brings us to another part of this issue, which is how complicit the universities are in having these young people, students, obtain these credit cards. So let's take a look at some of these numbers and then talk a little bit more about that. From the information that you provided me, it says about 42% of college freshmen have a credit card. So that's a staggering number. And
isn't that a crazy amount?
Yeah, I mean, by their first year in college and by their last year in college, 91% of students have at least one, and the average number is about 4 by the time they're in their final year. So about 46% of students reported that they obtained their first credit card in their first year. That's amazing because, the only way that the credit card companies would even have the access to the information to send the applications out, these pre-approvals and whatnot, as if the universities allowed it. So, there's some kind of obvious relationship and a benefit that these parties are receiving in order for these credit cards to go out like this.
Well, one of the things I talked about in my workshops, people ask me, why would college-level students be targeted for this type of trap? And, the answer is very plain. I use the example of one of a very good friend of mine. And, she was recruited out. She went to business school. She attended the University of Virginia with me. She went to business school. When she graduated, right before graduation, she was recruited by a very large brewer in Milwaukee. So immediately they flew her in. She met with lower-level management. She flew back home. They called her up within a week. We're flying you back out. You need to meet with the VP. That was successful, that interview. Sent her back home. They flew her back out a third time to meet the president of the company. He loved her. Oh, you're great. And then they introduced her to her compensation package. They said, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you a company car. At that time, it was a Porsche. We're giving you a $5,000 moving allowance to relocate you here to Milwaukee. You'll make 80 G's a year. Mm-hmm. You get company credit cards. I mean, the list of perks was endless. She was obviously very excited, but again, top of her class, very gifted student. He said, look, go home, party a little bit, expect a call from us or a letter with your compensation package in about 2 weeks. So she went home. She was having a good time, told all her friends and relatives. Life was very simple at that point. But 2 weeks passed, 3 weeks passed, 4 weeks passed, no letter. She started to get concerned, and she got a letter one day, and the letter started out, unfortunately, we are unable to offer you a contract at this point in time. Part of our employment process involves a credit check. Unfortunately, you did not meet the minimum standard for credit scoring. Please contact us again in the future if the situation changes. Right. So immediately she is devastated, destroyed, losing her mind. Now, shortly thereafter, her recruiter called her up and said, hey, I'm so sorry. I had no idea you had bad credit. It's a terrible, terrible situation. So at this point, she was very desperate, and she was like, there's got to be something that you can do. And he said, no. If you don't have good credit, it's out of my hands. there is, well, you probably wouldn't be interested. And she said, interested in what? He said, well, there is one program. She said, okay, tell me about it. He said, well, we do have an entry-level program that does not have a credit check. I could make a few phone calls. I'm really sure I can get you into that program. You know what? And now that I think about it, why don't you get into that program, and then once you fix your credit, I'll move you up back to the management executive training program. And she said, great, wonderful. You're a lifesaver. I love you. He said, well, there's a couple things I got to let you know. There's no perks on this program. She said, okay, no problem. There's no company car, no moving allowance, and her salary was $20,000 a year. Now, if you think about the psychology of this approach, it was very well strategized, because now they have a candidate who should conceivably maybe make 100 G's a year, a six-figure person working in their organization for $20,000 a year. That's a hell of a strategy.
Yeah.
And the FICO system puts employers back in control of the workforce. You know, back in the go-go 90s, in the Clinton surplus years, you know, people could quit their jobs, and you know, you could find a job overnight. You know, you were holding the employers hostage. You know, if you didn't make enough money, you could just threaten to quit, and you had a high level of confidence that you could get another job almost immediately. Now we're in a FICO environment. If you have bad credit, it puts me back in control. So not only can I not pay you what you're worth, I can lock you into a job that maybe you hate. So there's a lot of students graduating who are very gifted, but will end up settling, taking crappy jobs. Let me give you one more example. Let me tell you this, and this was very upsetting for me, and this is why I travel the country and try and teach as many people as I can. I was waiting for a friend of mine to pick me up from an engagement, and it was cold outside. I was in Michigan, so I sat. There was a McDonald's right there, so I was just sitting there waiting at McDonald's for them to arrive, but they were stuck in traffic. So I sat there for about half an hour till I noticed something very strange, and for a minute I got really scared, because I thought I was in the Twilight Zone. Because what happened was, I noticed that the McDonald's was packed with people, but no one was eating. And I just looked around. Everybody was sitting at every table was full, but no one was eating. So I was like, what the heck is going on? So it got so disturbing that after about an hour, I went up to one of the people in there, and I said, hey, what is going on? Why are all these people here, and why is nobody eating food? And she said, well, McDonald's is hiring. And if you had saw the caliber of people that was in there, and these are adults. These are not kids. Mm-hmm. These are adults, you know, clean-cut, you know, very intelligent-looking folks standing around in line waiting for a management job, you know, an entry-level management position at McDonald's. And that's really the position that students are finding themselves. I mean, you might graduate at the top of your class, whatever your credentials are, you know, and you might end up taking a job that you consider, you know, below your minimum standards just to get employed, but only certain jobs carry no credit check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true, because more and more people, more and more employers utilize either a background check and or a credit check. So if your credit is not where it should be upon graduation, you're going to have a difficult time. And there are ways to manage this. You just have to get the proper information. As I mentioned earlier, it's not that credit is bad. It's when you misuse it that it becomes a problem. And someone like yourself can give proper information to students and others in order to manage credit card debt properly, so that you won't have issues on your report, or when you get ready to apply for a loan or a job or an apartment or a home or something like that.
Oh yeah, listen. If there's anybody that's listening, if you know, are an educator and you're in a school system, I would come out, and I don't even charge the schools. I'll teach my course at no charge to you. My job is to make sure the students get access to the information. I mean, I'm not sure. You know, I joke about it on some programs that maybe they're putting something in the students' water. But when I was in school, and that was a while ago, but when I was in school, students would protest. You know, if they saw something that was an injustice or something the administration that was doing that was causing them a great disadvantage, people would get upset. They would protest, do sit-ins, march-ins, at least sign a petition. But here we have something that will greatly limit their survivability or sustainability in an economic sense, and I don't see anything happening. I mean, you guys have to get mad about this. Right. You know, the universities are conspiring with the banks to destroy your access to capital. So at the least, you should be petitioning for a FICO-based credit or financial literacy course in the school system. It's the schools.
Absolutely.
I mean, really, we should have it at the high school levels. But unless people get very excited about this issue or very upset about the issue, you know, it's one thing to get upset about social issues, but this is more fundamental for me. You guys have to circulate a petition to get a FICO-based credit course in your schools.
Absolutely.
You have to do it. You know, I'm one person, but I'll teach anybody my course. I'll give you access to all my materials. I won't charge your school $1. All I want them to do is teach you or arm you or equip you or prepare you with the tools necessary so that you can survive in this very challenging FICO environment.
Absolutely. You're listening to WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. And I'm Tony Johnson, and this is Legalese, and our guest today is Dr. Michael C. Grayson of Grayson Financial Services in Queens. And we're talking about the student credit card trap. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, how the schools are profiting from the students signing up for these cards, you know, how they receive a portion of the charges that the students put on the cards, or they're getting some kind of royalty fee for even students just signing up for the card, period. And with the money that these schools are making from the banks that are offering these credit cards, there's no way in the world you can make an argument that the schools don't have the funding based upon the money that they're receiving from the banks to establish these kind of credit management courses or credit information type courses, the type of courses that you just said that you would definitely you know, gladly go out and teach to universities and the students. So, you know, but students themselves have to take some initiative in also educating themselves. If the schools are not doing it, it's not for lack of information that's out there. There is information, and there are people like yourself who can do that. So,
absolutely.
So you have to take, you know, to the computer, go on the internet, ask people who are, you know, who have good credit what they do, and it's all about using these credit cards correctly. So Dr. Grayson, let's talk a little bit about some of the do's and don'ts of what college students should do if they're interested in getting a card, or if they already have one card or maybe several cards. Maybe some have more than 4. Maybe some have 5, 6, 7, or 8.
Right. Well, you know, the cards themselves are not inherently evil. The cards are a powerful tool, and what excites me the most is you have an opportunity to turn a trap into a triumph. So if you take those same credit cards that they're so glad to give to you, and you know, use them the right way, and when I mean use them the right way, you follow my formula, which means that you never have less than 2 credit cards in your possession. You never have more than 6 credit cards in your possession. But those cards that you do have, you make sure that the balance stays between 1% and 35% of whatever the credit limit is. So if you have a $300 credit card, the maximum limit is $300. The true limit is $100. The reason it's the true limit is because if you exceed $100, it will start to destroy and dismantle your credit score. So banks don't really tell you that when they issue you the card, because as your credit score goes down, your interest rate goes up. So it's a self-fulfilling trap. So if you took your 4 or 5 or 6 credit cards and you never maxed it out, you just use it for very small purchases and keep the balances very low, when you graduate, you could have, just through credit cards alone, a 7. Well, if you have student loans as well, that will give you a mix of credit. You could conceivably graduate with a 750 credit score. You can't imagine the advantage that gives you over everybody else in the marketplace. The Census Bureau did a study, and 67.4% of all employers said that your credit is the highest category that they're rating above everything else. So it used to be, your educational background and your work experience. Now it's credit. So by placing yourself above the rest of the heap, you have a considerable advantage. In my workshops, I teach the concept of the power resume. So a power resume is this: all of our clients, after we're done with their credit, they go out and apply for promotions, raises, and new positions. And what they will do is they'll take their credit report and attach it to their resume, which is a very radical concept. But imagine you and 100 other people are applying for the same job or vying for the same job. You're the only one that's proud enough to show your credit score because you have perfect credit. Chances are everybody else is hiding from their score.
That's so funny you mentioned that, because when I used to work in human resources and I would get job applications, I recall one time where I was doing a search for a particular position, a executive director position of this organization, and out of all the applications that I received, there was just one that attached his credit report. Now, that wasn't a requirement for the job or even to send in the application, but I thought that was a really
it's novel.
Yeah,
it
was novel. It even surprised me, because it just told me this guy had a lot of confidence, because he had he had enough courage to send in his credit report and knew that it was current and it was a great score. And he, in this role, he would have to manage finances, although that wasn't the main focus of the job, but he would have to manage others who were in the financial area. So I thought that was a pretty bold move, and I have to say he did get the job, not based upon that alone, but he's still in that position today. And but I mean, he was the only one of maybe about 16 or 17 applicants who applied that sent in his credit report. And so as a testament to what you just said, it does work sometime.
There's no question.
And I could see that happening.
We have clients who apply for different promotions at their job where maybe their qualifications are a little soft, or maybe they don't really qualify at all, but by sheer virtue of the fact that sometimes they apply and they're the only person with good credit, they will get positions that they probably shouldn't have or don't really qualify for.
Right.
So, it's a good methodology.
Now, one of the things in talking about student credit cards, I think it's, in today's day and age, I don't know if you agree with this, Dr. Grayson, but I think it's impractical for people to believe that students don't have a need for at least one credit card, right. Even if it's a low credit limit, say $100 or $200, whatever it is. Sometimes you just need one to rent a car to go home or to do something, yes. Or to buy a plane ticket back home, or whatever the case may be. So again, it's not that we don't want students to have credit cards. We're just trying to avoid the abuse of credit cards, and also also from being caught in what we call this trap. So just because you get sent a pre-approval letter for a credit card doesn't mean that's the best offer for you.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit about shopping around for a credit card? Say you are a college student and you're in need of a credit establishing your credit history and getting a credit card, what types of offers or characteristics of a credit card should one be looking at to say this is a good deal as opposed to just taking anything that's offered to me?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because you will be inundated with offers, right out of the gate. And it's always good practice to compare your offers. Now, traditionally, a student card is not going to be a low interest rate card. It's what's considered a starter card product. But it starts the ball rolling for you. What would be more to your advantage is if say you got 10 different offers. If you took the top 2 offers only, not less than 2, but get to top 2 offers, maintain small balances on those cards for 6 months, that would drive your credit score high enough that you can get real offers. Traditional credit cards follow one simple recipe. It takes one to get one. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have a credit card, most people are not offering you their product. So by starting out with the starter cards, which is a student card, if you only take the best 2 and just pay them, keep the balances low, pay them perfectly for 6 months, now you'll get real offers and offers that are very attractive, and you'll get real credit card offers, and the interest rates, which is the central issue, will be much more favorable. That's my big thing. You don't want to get trapped with a 29% interest rate or a 21% interest rate, which most people invariably will have.
Exactly. You want to look for a reasonable interest rate. One of the things, or one of the websites that I use personally for a bunch of different financial issues or information is bankrate.com.
Oh, yeah, great. That's a great website.
I use that, and I get daily emails from that site, bankrate.com. I mean, there are others. That's the one that I use. I'm not endorsing that particular one. But you want to look for an interest rate that's reasonable. You want to also look for one that probably has no annual fee as well, if that's even possible for a starter card. Mm-hmm. And let's talk about, take these 2 issues together. I mean, in order to establish great credit, there are certain things you have to do. You have to make payments and when to make those payments. So can you talk about how much you should be paying and how often you should be paying in order to establish great credit?
Well, your payment history is 35% of your score now. So, my protocol is always to pay before it's due, pay before time. So, as just a general rule, I have all my card payments, all my bills on automatic pay. So I set it for automatic pay 5 days before it's due. But you realize that as far as credit scoring goes, you can be up to 29 days late on a single payment and still not have it affect your credit directly. Now, most companies will give you a 5-day grace period where they're not charging you any late fees, but on the 30th day, you will get a 1 times 30 against your credit. And let me tell you, that is very devastating to your credit score. I have a client right now who is seeking to buy a house who we had helped her with her credit, and she has 6 perfect accounts, all of them credit cards, but 6 perfect accounts, or she had 6 perfect accounts, which gave her a score in the low 700s. Now, she went to apply for the house, picked out the house, was preparing to go to closing, but unfortunately, during the course of that, she was late on a single payment. So that single late dropped her 80 points.
Wow.
A single late payment. So you have to be vigilant. So I'm not taking any chances because it's a busy, high-paced world. So, and again, especially if you're in school, you got exams, midterms, you have so much going on. Don't take a chance on just remembering at the beginning of the month to pay all your bills. Put it on automatic pay so it's at least taking the minimum payment every month so that you don't achieve any late payments. And then as you get more monies or, for me, I had a surplus every semester. Mm-hmm. from all my scholarships and grant money, and you could, pay bigger amounts against your credit cards, but you definitely cannot be more than 29 days late for any reason. We live in a world where I don't care if you have to pawn, your stereo, you do not want to be one time late on a single obligation. You can't do it. The scoring system will really hurt you very badly.
Absolutely. So the takeaway from that part is make sure that if you're a student with a credit card, make sure you make these payments on time, and at least when you're making these payments on time, to pay at least the minimum, at least. But if you can do more, you should. If you can pay it off in full, you should.
Yeah, and you want to, really keep a very low balance because most of you guys are not working, and so why put yourself under that pressure? It's too easy to get caught up in exams and things of that nature, and then you have the pressure of bills, and then you just want to let one of those things go, and obviously it's not the schooling, so you just don't want to worry about it, and it's very easy to let it go. One of my best friends, graduated law review, so if you guys know, he's at the top of his law school class, and he was able to get a job, but he was making six figures. This guy was a brilliant guy, and he called me eventually after about 2 years because he was trying to buy a car, but he couldn't buy a car because his credit was so terrible. And he worked for one of the top law firms on Wall Street, made crazy money, but his credit was so terrible from school that he couldn't even buy him an inexpensive car. Everybody wanted him to pay cash for everything, but it started, in school. That credit's going to follow you. So, you always want to stay in control.
Absolutely. You're listening to WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem, and I'm your host, Tony Johnson, and this is Legalese. Our guest today is Dr. Michael Grayson of Grayson Financial Services, and we're discussing the student credit cards and the trap that they fall into. Those were some of the things that students should do. They should pay at least their minimum payment. If they can do more, they should. They should pay on time, and they should shop around for some of the best offers. But what are some of the things that, if you do have a credit card, that you should not be doing with it to avoid, your FICO score going down?
Well, we talked about earlier just, not exceeding roughly a third of whatever the high credit is, which, again, if they're only starting you with a $300 credit card and you think, well, I can't go more than $100, I mean, $100 doesn't seem like a lot, but really the student cards you should not think of as credit cards. If I have credit cards, I can shop with those and do various things, but with the student cards, they're just starter cards. They're just giving you your start into the credit world, and they're not really designed to make purchases on or on-time payments, because one of the issues in front of Congress now, they're actually contemplating regulating credit card fee structures, and primarily on the starter card products. One of the things you'll find, in addition to the higher interest rate on your student cards, there are so many hidden fees, it will drive you insane, and that's really what drives the balances and makes it very difficult for you to pay those balances down in a timely fashion. One of the biggest concerns for them is an over-the-limit fee. Now, realistically, it's a credit card. They should not allow you to go over the limit, if there's an associated fee, and that fee is usually huge in comparison to the credit line, but it's really there and it's put in place, again, as part of the trap mechanism, because they know if they give you a $300 card or a $500 card, you're going to go over the limit, and sometimes it might just be $5 or $6 because you haven't calculated that your purchases accurately. You go over $5 or $6, it might cost you $100 in fees. And so, that becomes a major concern, if you're fast approaching that maximum limit. And if you stay over the limit, every month you're accruing new fees, and very quickly that kind of thing will get out of control. So the fees are the central issue for those types of cards. My philosophy is, if you're keeping those balances below $50, no matter what the rates are, it's going to, that's not going to hurt you. But keep in mind, these cards carry monthly fees, which, it's the cost of building credit. Again, we're not discouraging you from carrying at least two of those cards, but you just have to manage them very carefully.
What, Dr. Grayson, in our remaining minutes, I wanted to ask you, what's your opinion about using cards for, say, tuition payments or cash advances? To me, it seems as if the credit card interest rate is near 18-20% or more,
yes,
but your school loan could be somewhere down near 3% on interest or 5%, very low. I mean, but some students do put their tuition payments on a credit card. I mean, what's your feeling about those two separate issues, a cash advance and paying for your tuition on your credit card?
Well, paying, any school bills with your credit cards is always, has to be a last resort, and it's a not recommend. Ideally, and sometimes I know, the financial aid packages are not nearly as attractive as they were when I was going to school. But I know for a fact that sometimes you have to push the student aid departments, your financial aid departments. You have to push them sometimes, because sometimes these departments will take an easier road, and maybe they won't offer you or dig deep enough to give you as much student financial aid as you need or student loans as you need. So you have to explore every single avenue with these guys. And if you push them and work with them very carefully, you can always find alternatives to putting your educational expenses on your credit card. Take the student loans. I know a lot of kids are very paranoid of student loans because you hear the horror stories after people graduate and they're thinking, well, it's government debt, it's going to follow me for the rest of your life. But, in another show, we'll talk about how to really avoid any type of student loan debt issues once you graduate. There's a crazy program that we'll introduce you to that'll make that a dream for you. But realistically, try to avoid putting any type of major debts like that on those starter cards. And cash advances, again, get very cost prohibitive. So you want to try to avoid that at all costs.
Well, the parents also need to become involved in monitoring their child's credit card activity. They need to become engaged with what they're doing. So I guess some parents and guardians take they'll create a joint account to watch what their child is doing. What's your feeling on that? Should parents and students and their children have separate cards, or if you're starting out, is a joint account good to get started? What's your feeling about that?
Well, I like the idea of the joint activity account. I developed a program for national achievement to help the younger kids establish credit, the 18 and 19-year-olds. In that program, part of this protocol was to actually have the students apply for the cards but turn them over to their parents and have the parents issue them the cards, because, again, it's such an essential building step that you don't want to abuse this card process. So you don't want to abuse it. You want to use these cards as a tool to take you to the next level. So really, these kids in school, and I was in school, and sometimes you're under so much financial pressure or you're a little short. If you have the convenience of all that cards and buying power, you're going to use them. It's just human nature. So it's a lot simpler, I think, and kids, it'll help your parents be more actively involved in helping you keep your debt managed, maybe they'll be more sympathetic to your causes if you make them an active part or give them joint ownership in those cards. That's why I envy my rich classmates who, they were authorized users on their parents' gold cards because, it made that process much simpler.
Exactly, and I believe we probably were in college around the same time, but that was then when you would get paper statements sent to your home or your business
Right.
address. But today, parents and guardians and students can manage their accounts online.
Online.
So a parent can be engaged with their child's credit card activity by just going on the computer, looking at where spending habits are, seeing what kind of balances they're carrying, and whether or not their child is headed into a danger zone. Because if they're in school and they're not making those payments, it's going to come back on the family somehow.
There's no question about it. And I know it probably seems like making a step backwards because you want to be independent in college. I mean, that was one of my motivations. I want to be independent. I want to be out on my own. And sometimes just the thought of a joint credit card with your parents seems like a step in the wrong direction. But it's a much more complicated financial environment. Your entire future rests on your ability to manage your credit. You don't understand how difficult it is to applying for jobs, and believe me, I saw a survey for jobs paying over $40,000 a year. There's actually a surplus of those jobs. There's a glut of those jobs. What the employers are saying is there's a lack of qualified candidates. The pool is very small. But and it's a nice way of saying most people who should qualify for these jobs have bad credit. So, if you could really just focus on graduating with a 700-plus credit score, you will literally have your pick of jobs and you'll make so much money. I really can't emphasize that enough.
And if you don't have that now, and you don't have that now, and you've missed payments or your card has gone into default, don't despair, because there are ways out of that. And an expert like Dr. Grayson can help you out with that. So, Doctor, with the remaining moments we have on the show, can you give everyone your contact information?
Certainly. If you guys need to reach me, if you can remember our company name, it's Grayson Financial Services. We're in the phone book. We're on the Internet. We're at the Better Business Bureau with an A-plus rating. Or you can take down our phone number, 718-322-7220. That number again is 718-322-7220. Or if you can remember, our website is the 990 Club. 990 is the highest possible credit score, so we have the 990 Club.
Absolutely. Dr. Grayson, thank you for joining us today. And, we broadcast from a university here in the city, so I think this topic was particularly relevant for the students who are listening and any other person out there who finds themselves in this kind of situation, or if you're a parent and you have a child who's getting their feet wet with the credit card, there are certain things that you can do to make sure they stay on the proper track. Again, we're not trying to have you avoid credit. We're just having you be aware that there are certain things that you can do to build up good habits now that will carry you into the future. And for those students out there who are using credit cards, believe me, as someone who's worked in human resources before and as an attorney today, I know that when you're applying for a position, that many of these employers will ask about your credit history and your credit report. And so if you find yourself in a situation where you're unsure whether or not you would get accepted or made an offer because of your credit report, because you've missed payments or you haven't paid at all, you should talk to someone like Dr. Grayson and make sure you do the things that are necessary in order for you to start your career and become successful, and not let something like this hold you back, because it definitely can. More and more employers are asking for access to your credit report to make a hiring decision, and you don't want to get caught up in that. So again, Dr. Grayson, thank you again.
Always a pleasure, sir. I really appreciate what you're doing in the community. This is always enjoyable for me. Call me anytime. I'm looking forward to doing the next show with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe the next show next month, you did bring up student loan debt. So, and there's a whole big thing about, being in default and private colleges and taking out loans there, and, how that affects your credit report. So, with a number of other topics that we can pursue, maybe we can talk a little bit about that on the next show.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Until next time.
Thank you so much. And again, you're listening to WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. So, today's show was with Dr. Grayson. And Dr. Grayson is always one of our favorite people here on the show. So, again, thank you for listening. You're listening to WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. This is Tony Johnson and Legalese, and we'll be with you again next Wednesday.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
The City College of New York Educational Theater Program presents Family Arts Day, Saturday, April the 27th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Family Arts Day is filled with fun for the whole family. There will be face painting, mask making, clowns, sing-alongs, puppets, live performances, raffle prizes, and more. That's Family Arts Day, Saturday, April the 27th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This free event will be held at the Aaron Davis Hall located at 150 Convent Avenue at 135th Street.
Yes, you can be a healthcare professional. It's never too early to think about becoming a doctor, nurse, dentist, or pharmacist. At Mentoring in Medicine's conference, you can meet various experts who will tell you how you can become a healthcare professional and what they do. Mentoring in Medicine's 7th annual Yes, I Can Be a Healthcare Professional conference will be held on Saturday, April the 27th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The conference will be held at Frederick Douglass Academy, located at 2581 Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard in Harlem. This event is free and for young people ages 8 to 28. For more information, call 718-920-6626. That's 718-920-6626, or visit the website www.medicalmentor.org.
Harlem's got its own radio station.
Once again, back is the incredible
WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. Harlem, 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 Harlem.
If you know the symptoms and get the facts, you'll know the signs of a heart attack. Women, listen to me, and when I'm done, if it sounds familiar, call 911.
Pain in your neck, chest,
arms or jaw,
shortness of breath.
Please tell us more. Cold sweats and nausea, tiredness.
It's time to take it
serious. Back pain, stomach pain, shortness of breath. Cold sweats, nausea, dizziness. If you know the symptoms and heed the signs, you'll be around for a long, long time. Women, listen to me, and when I'm done, if any sound familiar, call 911.
Learn a song that can save your life. Get a free download at womenshealth.gov/heart attack.
Women, listen to me, and when I'm done, if any sound familiar, call 911. If any sound familiar, call 911.
A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
911.
Hey, this is Joseph Hayes inviting you to tune into Another Perspective every Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. Another Perspective is a community affairs show that brings you information, news, solutions, and entertainment, all from another perspective. That's Another Perspective with your host, Henry Portia, Reggie Mitchell, and yours truly, Joseph Hayes. That's every Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem.
I found out on my way to Harlem.
What's up, y'all? My name is DJ Vince the Prince.
And your boy DJ Stunner.
Inviting you to tune into House in Harlem.
Every last Friday of the month from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m.
You will hear the best of house music.
And house mixes.
House music includes soulful,
tech,
deep,
jacket,
disco,
and of course, the gospel.
That's House in Harlem.
Every last Friday of the month from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Right here on WHCR 90.3 FM.
The voice of Harlem.
Keep it locked.
Mic check. Keep it locked on WHCR 90.3 FM.
Okay.
New York.
WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. Usually at this time you would hear the student showcase, but don't have a student today. But guess what I have? Are you guessing? I got a special mix from none other than DJ Vince the Prince, Harlem's own DJ Vince the Prince, WHCR's own DJ Vince the Prince. So keep it locked to WHCR 90.3 FM, for we are the one and only voice of Harlem. Come on, Vince.
You're listening to House in Harlem with DJ Vince the Prince and DJ Stunner on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. New York is dropping it hot. DJ Vince the Brand, live in the mix.
I still spit a lot of, gangsterism, you know what I'm saying? And I talk a lot of, talk about being gangster. I guess I'm one of the I guess, most known gangster rappers, as far as, me and Ice-T, maybe, Dre, and it's a few. But, so I guess that's why, but, a lot of people do recognize the game that I'm trying to spit in these records, that they're not just gangster records, they street knowledge, The easiest thing to accomplish is to put the message in a song. With a song, I'm in complete control from start to finish. With a movie, you got to put a whole team together. You got over 100 people working on one idea. So it's harder to just push like, yo, I want to do a movie on this and just go do it. It's just not as easy as it is to think like that and go do a record. If I think like that, I can go do a record tomorrow or tonight. But if I think like that with a movie, it'll still take, maybe 5, 6 months, 7, 8 months to put it together, so the impact on a movie I think is stronger, but it's easier to put it in the record.
check this out. 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 Check this out.
Journey into sound.
is the incredible
WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem.
You're listening to House in Harlem Radio Show with DJ The Prince and DJ Stunna on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem.
Harlem's got its own radio station.
Once again, back is the incredible
WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem.
Depend on when it really counts. You're trying to play me strong, cause I got it going on. You claim to be a friend, why do you pretend? Yeah. Always smiling in your face. When you turn around, that smile is soon erased. Why do we let them hang around? All they try to bring you down. You think you and me are cool, that's cause I know how to play you. Hello, goodbye, I won't even let you try to run your game. Down on me, down on me. Always smiling in your face. That smile is soon erased. Why do we let them hang around? They try to bring you down. I like people I can feel from the heart you bled apart. I thought you bled wrong in your soul. Always smiling in your face. That smile is soon erased. Why do we let them hang around? They try to bring you down.
Mic check, mic check. Keep it locked on WHCR 90.3 FM. Okay. New York.
I can see the light shining.
WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. It's your boy Stunner filling in. Last minute filling, but it's all good. Please tune in to House in Harlem every fourth Saturday in the AM from 12 midnight to 6 a.m. House in Harlem is where we bring you the best in-house music, and we really bring it. Live mixes, progressive mixes, we just get it in. All right, so you need to come, and be a part of, I'm saying come, but be a part of it, of our listening audience, and check us out every fourth Saturday from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. That's House in Harlem with my partner and friend DJ Vince the Prince, and of course myself, DJ Stunner. And of course, up next is I Love Jazz. Later.
Mic check. Keep it locked on WHCR 90.3 FM. Okay. New York.
I
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Good evening, welcome to the Jazz of Harlem. I'm Tamisho's jazz pianist, your radio host, coming to you live from City College in New York. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad to be here playing jazz for you every other Wednesday, so stick around until 8 p.m. Today is April 10th. We hit 82 degrees yesterday for the first time this year, and today we got another warm day. It seems like we jumped right over spring into summer. Love it! I realized that I need to start thinking about summer vacation plans. We kicked off with New York Minute, played by Herbie Hancock, Michael Brecker, John Scofield, Dave Holland, Jack DeJohnette, and Don Elias. It's such a cool groove from Herbie Hancock's CD, The New Standard. He covers pop and rock songs by Prince, The Beatles, Stevie Wonder, and more on the album. It was recorded in 1995. The time is now 6:13 p.m. Up next, Frank West, trying to make my blues turn green, from his CD Once Is Not Enough. Saxophone player Frank West uses a 9-piece band for the first time in his long, storied career to make easygoing swinging jazz in the tradition of his former boss, Count Basie. The masterful tenor saxophonist, arranger, and composer has assembled an impressive group featuring trombonist Steve Turrell, saxophonists Scott Robinson and Ted Nash, trumpetters Terry Stanford and Frank Green, and dynamite rhythm section of the drummer Winner Harper, bassist Peter Washington, and pianist Gerald Cannon. Together they play original music and standards with the Basie stamp firmly embossed. It was released in 2009. You are on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem in New York City.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
This is your radio station, the voice of Harlem. I'm Tammy with you here on WHCR 90.3 FM in New York. Here we had Soul Root, written by Gene Harris. Vibraphonist Milt Jackson recorded quite extensively during his decade. Gene Harris' soulful style and expertise with blues fit in perfectly with Milt Jackson's approach, and fine backup from bassist Ray Brown and drummer Mickey Rocker. They played some typically joyful music on some blues standards and ballads in 1983. Before that was Summer Samba from organist Walter Wanderley's CD Rainforest. It was recorded in May 1966. Wanderley had a unique, highly percussive organ style and made a big splash with this CD, which went platinum in 2 years. It's 6:42 p.m. Thanks for joining us. The days are getting longer. There is still daylight on this lovely Wednesday evening. We are continuing with more great jazz here. Let's play Getting Down from Freddie Hubbard's CD, The Black Angel, which was recorded in May 1969. It was his fourth release on the Atlantic label and features performances by James Spaulding on sax, Kenny Barron on electric piano, Reggie Walkman on bass, Louis Hayes on drums, Carlos Valdez on congas, and Freddie Hubbard on trumpet. Hubbard appeals to the emerging crossover rock jazz crowd of the era on this album. Keep your dial right here on WHCR 90.3 FM in New York.
I lie in my room, staring up at the ceiling. Spring can really hang up the morning's kiss wakes trees and flowers, and to them I'd like to make a toast. Oh, I walk in the park just to kill lonely hours. Spring can really hang you up the most. Oh, afternoon, the birds twitter, twit. I know the tune. This is love, this is it. I heard it before, and I know the score. And I decided that spring is a bore. Love seems sure around the new year. Now it's April, love is just a ghost. Spring arrived on time. Only what became of you, dear? Spring can really hang you the most. Love came my way, I hoped it would last. We had our day, now it's all in the past. Spring came along, a season of sun, full of sweet promise, but something went wrong. All alone, the party is over, and old man Winter was a gracious host. But when you keep praying for snow to hide the clover, spring can really hang you up the most. Spring can really hang you up.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
We are playing jazz right here on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem in New York City. The last piece was Wayne Shorter's El Gacho from the CD Adam's Apple. Features Shorter leading an all-star rhythm section consisting of pianist Herbie Hancock, bassist Reggie Walkman, and drummer Joe Chambers. It was recorded in February 1966. As in the second classic Miles Davis quintet, Hancock and Shorter find solace in each other. Shorter's solo throughout the album are encouraged by Herbie Hancock's slide-like comping. Before that was Spring Can Really Hang You Up the Most from vocalist Cassandra Wilson's CD Lavally, and it was recorded in August 2007. The duet between Marvin Swell's truly unique acoustic guitar style and Wilson's vocal on the song is utterly tender. She has offered a new view of the standard by using classic rock and Delta blues tunes in her live and recorded repertories. The time is now 7:10 p.m. It's spring. Flowers are blooming everywhere. Bird songs are in the air. Enjoy the beauty of the season and have lots of fun. Coming up, Dizzy Gillespie's composition Bebop. It's from Slide Hampton's CD dedicated to this, which was recorded live February 6, 1993 at the Village Vanguard, New York City. Slide Hampton and his band, the Jazz Masters, drive the contemporary urban swing by the harmonic richness of his arrangements. There may be 12 different musicians with a variety of instruments, but it has one musical heartbeat, and the soul of Dizzy Gillespie lives on. I'm Tammy, here holding it down for you on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem in New York.